One of my favorite recipes that my mom makes is risovaya kasha. It's a rice baked dish of sorts. It has egg yolks, vanilla, butter, rice, and you bake it. I couldn't find anything online. Most of them are on the stovetop. So I called my mom and I'm like, Mom, I need your recipe for risovaya kasha. She makes hers in like a really big, deep baking dish. I'll actually insert a video. She sent me a video and some pictures of it recently, to kind of so I know the consistency of it. But I called her up and I was like, Mom, I need your recipe for risovaya kasha. I've never made it, but I love your risovaya kasha, so I need to know. She has a book of recipes that she writes down, but honestly, everything is off the top of her head. She always does everything nahlas. It's like she just eyeballs everything, and I feel like that's kind of how I started to be too. I eyeball it. So I told her this is the only kind of baking dish that I have right now. We're living in the RV, so it's probably probably a third of the size of hers, maybe half. So she gave me approximate measurements that she felt like would fit here, and that's what we're gonna make today. So I'll kind of take you guys through the recipe as I make it. The first step that you want to do is you want to set rice to boil. I'm going to be using this big pot here because for my little pot I just made some pelmeni for my kids, so that one's taken, and this is the only other one that I have. And I'm also using jasmine rice. My mom recommended jasmine rice, and it's actually the only rice that we have, so I'm using jasmine rice, and she said about 1.5 cups of rice, and add in enough water to cover it. So for me that was 2 cups of water, just to kind of like cover the rice. Add a little bit of salt, and then I turned it on high so the water can reach boiling, and then once I saw that it was boiling I turned it down to low, plop the lid on, and let it simmer for about 10 minutes. The key here is you don't want to overcook the rice, because if it's overcooked you're still going to bake it, then it'll be majorly overcooked. And then I wrote down here to add milk slowly and turn it off, and I couldn't remember how much milk, what is the milk for, so I called my mom, and this is a conversation that we had. Hello?
Ну что,
Я тебе прислала видео, ты получила?
а ты масло добавляла?
Да.
Растёрдуватенький.
Да, чуть-чуть.
Ну, или молока трохи, масло теж ще.
So the milk you slowly add in a little bit, just kind of like add some liquid to it, and it kind of cooks in the rice for like the last, I would say probably add it in at the halfway point. Basically I just couldn't remember why I'm adding in milk or for what, so don't overcook the rice, that's the main thing. But while the rice was cooking I made sure to preheat my oven, and then I also prepped everything else. So for my measurements I did 2 tablespoons of sour cream, and I added that to a cup with some baking soda. You don't want to add in too much baking soda because it will be bitter. I just kind of eyeballed it. This mixture I will be adding to the rice later, so mix that up and set it aside. And then in another bowl I did 2 egg yolks. The egg whites I'm actually going to save and use later on in the week to make some egg bites. I feel like that'll be great for that. But to your bowl with egg yolks, add 1/4 cup of sugar, just regular sugar. I'm adding in this vanilla. I found it at the European food store. It's like a Slavic food store. This is the one that my mom uses. You can use any kind of vanilla, but this one's like a powdered granulated one. My mom uses this a lot and it's just so nostalgic for me, so I picked up a few packets while I was at the European food store. Add the vanilla into your egg yolks and sugar, mix it all up, and this you will be setting aside and adding to the rice as well. I have my rice there on the stove. I'm going to move it here for a second, and then I have my egg yolk mixture here. So this is egg yolks, vanilla, and sugar. And then here I have my sour cream and baking powder. My mom said half a stick of butter for me. I'm going to use like 3/4 of a stick unsalted butter. And that is essentially everything that is in the recipes. My mom sent me a video. She made kasha this week, and she sent me a video of the consistency, what it should be, because she was trying to explain to me like it's not supposed to be too runny, but it should still be lumpy. So I was like, Mom, I don't know what that means. So she sent me a video, which hopefully it turns out like hers. But I have my rice here. It still has a little bit of like hardness to it. It's not fully cooked. Yeah, like when I bite into it I can still feel it's a little bit hard. So first I'm going to add in my sour cream and baking soda mixture to the rice. Alright, then I'm going to add my egg yolk, sugar, vanilla mixture. She said be careful not to overcook the egg yolk, so just like add it in slowly. Why are mine so thick? Are they supposed to be this way? I'm going to have to send this video to my mom, like, Mom, alright, what did I do wrong? What did I do right? She'll be watching my YouTube video and being my critiquer. I feel like it's coming out how it's supposed to. Hold on, let's not get too excited. So the last thing I have to add in is the butter. Well, actually she said to add in the butter before the egg yolk mixture, but that's okay. Let me just add in this much first and see what happens. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I am preheating my oven while all this is happening. And she doesn't remember what temperature. She's like, especially your oven, it's so small. So she said like 350 maybe. 380, and bake it until it's golden. Let me send a video of mine to her. And mine is not as yellow as hers. Why is mine not as yellow? Pumpkin?
Yeah.
Oh. My mom said if she was able to try my rice, she'd let me know if I need more milk or not. So if your rice is still hard, Then she suggested adding in a little bit more butter, a little bit more milk, just a splash. I added in like a splash more milk, and I'm going to transfer it to this dish. And I'm going to bake it until it's golden. Hers was golden because she did add pumpkin butternut squash to it, so that's why. But I'm going to bake it. I don't know, I'm just going to keep an eye on it and we'll see. This is the first time I've ever made this. It started raining pretty bad, so I don't know if you can hear me, but I put it in and I sent a video to my mom asking her how long did she keep it in there for. And then she's like, wait, you didn't cover it with aluminum foil. I'm like, oh my goodness, I've been baking it for the past 15 minutes and I didn't cover it with aluminum foil. And she's like, your rice is going to turn hard. This is all the aluminum foil that I have. Like, why? I'm just trying to cover it as best as I can at this point. It is finally done. The edges are supposed to be brown and crispy. Kind of like so. I didn't cover it with foil, so the top looks a little dried out. Yeah, mine is definitely more crumbly and like falls apart more. I asked my mom, why does mine fall apart? Let's see what she says, but let's try it nonetheless. It smells delicious. The whole house smells delicious. This smells like my mom's kasha. Mmm. It's so good. Mmm. I need a little bit more sugar for sure. The bottom is kind of a little burned, so I'm gonna have to probably lower the temperature. Like my mom said, it's trial and error, and then cover it with foil so it keeps the moisture inside. I think that was my biggest mistake. A lot of the moisture evaporated because I never covered it with foil, but it's still really good. I'll add some milk in here. I'll kind of leave the basic recipe down below if you guys want to try it out, but I just wanted to. Ooh. Wow. Oh, smoky! You got scared. Should have used this light from the beginning, but this is the kasha. Delicious, golden. My mom did say that once it cools down it shouldn't be as crumbly and falling apart. I'll leave the recipe down below. If you have a bigger like baking dish that you're using, then adjust the measurements. I can't help you out with that, but this is essentially the recipe. I will keep working on it until I perfect it like my mom, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for hanging out, and I hope to see you guys in future videos.